Hey there, all you Panther fans out there. Jeff Taylor here with this week's edition of Money in the Bank. And what I want to talk about is all this steam that appears to be picking up with Baker Mayfield possibly coming to the Carolina Panthers in a trade that may occur, or the Browns may just flat out release him, and that means they would have to take some of the money situation and run with that. Of course, we'll know something, hopefully, maybe within the next 10 days, because the draft is 10 days away. So, my thoughts on it. Now, I don't know what Jack and Shantice and Tyler think, but I'm going to give you mine. And my thoughts are simply this. If we could get a hold of Baker Mayfield, I would take it. I would take it and run with it. And there's a number of reasons why, at least in my opinion. Number one, obviously right off the bat, you're talking about a much better quarterback than Sam Darnold. That's not even up for discussion. The stats are better. The touchdowns to interception ratio is better. Baker Mayfield is just a better quarterback. And I know he had some injury last season. During the offseason, he had surgery. But I think you got to go for it. And for me, I would rather do that than do something in the draft. Now, I know Malik Willis is out there and Kenny Pickett, and I know Malik Willis, it makes everybody excited. I just don't know if that's the right move for the Panthers. And for me, if I'm a fan of a team, I want to win now. I don't want to win 3 years from now, 4 years from now. And I think Baker Mayfield gives the Carolina Panthers the opportunity to win right now and even get to the playoffs. I mean, think about it this way. The NFC right now is weak. It just is. Who scares you? Tampa Bay, I guess, because, you still have the GOAT and Tom Brady. As long as he's around, they're always going to be a favorite. Green Bay, I know you've got, the MVP in Aaron Rodgers, but his number one target is now gone. And really, what has Aaron Rodgers done? I know he's put up the stats, and that's impressive. He's won some MVPs. That's great. He's won a Super Bowl, but that's it. I mean, let's face it. His playoff record, especially this year, number one seed, all the hype, gone. So the Rams, Matthew Stafford, was that just a really good season for them? Are they going to come back and be just as strong this year? I don't know. Russell Wilson now gone from the Seattle Seahawks. So, and who else scares you? I mean, does the NFC East scare you? With the Cowboys and the Eagles and the Redskins and the Giants? No. The NFC West, I get it somewhat, but even Arizona. I mean, is Kyler Murray happy? What has he done lately? It's just, I think it's the perfect time to make a move and put yourself in contention to go to the playoffs and make some noise. And this team is capable of doing it. They just need a quarterback. And I think Baker Mayfield is that person that could get it done. Now, obviously, Jimmy Garoppolo is out there also. We're not sure exactly what's going on with Jimmy Garoppolo and the San Francisco 49ers with Trey Lance and what they got going on there. But obviously, we're starting to hear more and more reports about Baker Mayfield to the Carolina Panthers. You got to do it. My opinion is this. If you take Baker Mayfield and you get it done within the next 10 days, the draft sets up perfectly for you to take that offensive lineman. Listen, the offensive line is not that bad, but you add the kid from NC State, and I can't remember his name right now, and I apologize for that, or Cross, two offensive linemen. Take either one of those, and you've got kind of an anchor for that offensive line for years to come. So you've got a veteran quarterback who, let's face it, was, a drive away from taking the Browns to the AFC Championship game a couple years ago. He's produced. Is he a gunslinger? Yes. He kind of reminds me a little bit of a Jake Malone, to be honest with you. He's a gunslinger. He's going to go out there and he's going to lay it all on the line. Now, I know there's been some talk about, in terms of team chemistry and locker room and stuff like that. I don't know what happens in Cleveland, but listen, that happens all the time in the NFL, where somebody in the locker room has a problem and they move on. Now, from what I've heard, could they cut him? I don't know. The trade would be better. And as we go further and further along and this drags on, I think the better the asking price is for us. I think the Carolina Panthers could make a better move to get him. But when you think about Baker Mayfield, in terms of what I've heard from stories coming out of Cleveland, he's like third on the depth chart. Like, we don't even know if Deshaun Watson's going to play, but there have been reports out there that it's, Deshaun Watson, Jacoby Brissett, and then Baker Mayfield. So, here's a guy who's disrespected, feels like he got the shaft, and he's just ready to move on. And once he's ready to move on, you're talking a brand new team, brand new city. You always see that kind of, rebirth, call it whatever you want. Baker's been in the league for 4 years, in the same draft class as Sam Darnold. They were drafted, in 2018. So Baker Mayfield has years to play. I mean, depending on what happened with the injury, and I don't think it's that severe, but you've got 5 to 7 years, if not more, where you might have the quarterback that could lead this team. And I just don't know that any of the quarterbacks coming out right now, and whatever you hear about them, that's great, but we all got to take it with a grain of salt. This guy's going to be great in the NFL. This guy's going to be great in the NFL. Well, we heard the same thing about Jameis Winston and Marcus Mariota, and right now that hasn't panned out. So you've got a guy out there who's fired up, who's a little ticked off, maybe has a chip on his shoulder, and wants to go somewhere and prove that he can win football games. Now, I know what Robbie Anderson said, but at the end of the day, Robbie Anderson is not Scott Fitterer. At the end of the day, he is not Matt Rule. At the end of the day, he is not the owner. So I get what Robbie says. And it would be interesting to see what happens if Baker Mayfield joins the team. But I just think Baker Mayfield, you've got our receiving core. You've got our running backs now. You've got an offensive line. You've got a defense that can play ball. In the NFC right now, I think you take your chance and you go. And it just is, and the rub is this. You get Baker Mayfield, I think he can lead us to 10 wins. With this team, I think he can get to 10 wins, get us in the playoffs. He might be able to win the NFC South. I don't know what Atlanta's going to be with Marcus Mariota. You don't know what you're getting with New Orleans and Jameis. You know what you're getting with Tom Brady and the Bucs. But are they beatable? Yes. And the gist is, I would love to hear you guys' comments. I'm a fan where, you know what? I'm not worried about 3 or 4 years down the line. I want to win this season. I want to get to the playoffs this season. I want to have a shot to get into the tournament and get to the Super Bowl. As somebody who's followed the Titans for the last 3 years, my entire life, but they've been in the playoffs the last 3 years, and it's been kind of up and down. We're in. And listen, when it comes to that first playoff weekend, you can't tell me you don't want to be there. You want to be there. And I think Baker Mayfield gives us the best shot at doing that. Now, if all of a sudden Jimmy Garoppolo comes available, then we might have to have another discussion. But for right now, if I'm Scott Fitterer, I get the deal done. I get it done before the draft. I have Baker Mayfield as my quarterback. Sam Darnold can back him up or whatever you want to do with Sam Darnold. Now, one other thing. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is due about $18 million, $18.8 million or something like that. I think you're in the wiggle room where we've got like $30 million as a team, the Carolina Panthers in cap room, $30 million. But you need to, re-sign a few more players. You got to have some money available for your draft picks. So if all of a sudden, the Cleveland Browns go, okay, we'll take the $10, $11 million hit, and you only got to take less than a $10 million hit to get him, you do it. I think you do it and you run with it. And for me, I think it's a great move. Go get him and see what he can do. I think going after Kenny Pickett, which I think would be the worst move we could do, but going after Kenny Pickett or Malik Willis, you got to grow a couple of years and stuff like that. For all the fans, though, that don't like Matt Rule, the only thing about getting Baker Mayfield is if you win and go to the playoffs, then Matt Rule is not going to be gone. So for me, I just wanted to throw my 2 cents out there and give you some thoughts on that. I think you jump on it. Go get Baker Mayfield. Let him do some commercials from Bank of America Stadium. And I think the Carolina Panthers get 10 wins with Baker Mayfield and that offense. But we'll wait and see. We got 10 days till the draft. A lot's going to happen in the next 10 days, I got a feeling. And all we can do is keep waiting, keep pounding. Have a great week.